Well, hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. Are you a Who Dat fan? If you're a Who Dat fan, subscribe to my channel. Let's keep it in the Who Dat family. I love the Saints as much as you do. When you see one of my videos, you get to hear what I'm thinking. You tell me what you're thinking in the comments down low. I respond to my comments. And today we are going to look at the top 10 round one prospects for our Saints, according to me. And you guys let me know what you think. We've only got one game left in the regular season. The Saints are currently slotted to draft 8th overall, according to Tankathon. And if we lose this game this weekend against Atlanta, there's no way we're going to get a better draft pick than where we're at now. So, 8th overall is the best you're going to get. If we win this weekend, it'll be anywhere between 8th and 14th, and probably closer to 8 or 12. What I was saying 2 weeks ago, I kind of put the Saints at 10, and we'll see what happens this weekend. We're picking 8th now. So, who are the guys in the first round that I really want to target for this team and who would make this team better? So, you've got a whole cast of characters coming out of college that you can choose from. And we've had many videos on this channel showing you the top prospects. I've shown you a list of 32 of them. We've even got a video on this channel covering the first round as if the Saints were drafting 10th, having the draft play out, and then showing you what's available, what's left, and what to do. And in that video, I was stuck between choosing 5 different players. Ultimately, I would have probably traded down if I could, up to 4 spots, and just settled with one of them because there's not really one person in this draft that I really want for the Saints. There's several of them. There's another video where I covered 29 first round draft prospects, and all 29 of them would fit on this team just fine. But who are the top 10 that I really want for the team? There are 10 players that I would love to have on this team, and when I try to think of the best one and the best fit for the team, I really come down to 4 or 5 of them that I'd be happy taking. I mean, easily. So, yeah, if the Saints had the first overall pick, who would you take? We're not in the business for a quarterback, probably not in the business for an offensive tackle, and maybe first overall pick's a little too high for a wide receiver. But what would you do if you were the Saints? So, you know what I would do? I would trade down. I would get as many assets as I could. So that got me thinking. Eventually when the Saints draft, I'm gonna have to choose somebody. So I sat down, thought about it, and here's my top 10. Before I get to the top 10, let's talk about a couple of honorable mentions. First, I'm going to talk about tight end Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon, 6'3", 245 pounds. This junior is a solid all-around player. I think he would be an upgrade as far as an early down tight end on the field. He probably provides a lot more as a run blocker than Juwan Johnson. So that had me thinking Kenyon Sadiq would be a good pick for us in the first round. My only hesitation is that he's got only 40 catches. He's got 8 touchdowns, so he knows how to score. But 40 catches, about 480 yards, something like that. And Oregon has a really good quarterback. There's not a lot of, big time draft pick wide receivers or other options for the quarterback. So it seems like Kenyon Sadiq would have more stats, if he was a guy that's going to produce, top end production game in, game out. So I'm starting to think Kenyon Sadiq would be a risk. I heard a video comparing him to CJ Howard, and it made a lot of sense. When you have a guy that has all that, ability, but he doesn't have the production in college, what makes you think he's going to produce great in the league? So if the Saints were to trade down and we had, bottom of the barrel first round pick, then tight end Kenyon Sadiq might be an option. But for right now, he's outside of my top 10 looking in. Another guy I'm going to talk about who's outside the top 10 looking in, but a guy that I really want for the team, and that's Olaiva Vega, Ione, the offensive guard out of Penn State. 6'4", 330-pound junior. He's a great player and solid, and I think if we drafted him, he would pop in as our starting left guard right away, and we'd be a better team because of it. But you're not going to spend a top 10, top 12 pick on a guard. So, but he is somebody I have to keep constantly mentioning because it's one of the biggest needs for the team. And if we were to trade down, he would be a priority target later on in the first round for me. Of course, we want playmakers, we want difference makers. Fix that offensive line. We're going to be a much better team. But I concede Ione is outside the top 10 looking in. So who are my top 10 targets for the Saints? Regardless of whether we're picking 8th or ninth or 10th or 11th or 12th, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be in that area. Here's the top 10 guys that I want. And of course, some of these may be drafted before the Saints ever get to their pick, so you don't need to remind me of that in the comments. But here we go. At number 10, I'm looking at edge rusher Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. 6'2", 248 pounds. He's a senior. Linebacker size. My only reservation about Howell is his short arms. Usually a guy with short arms doesn't make it in the league. The transition's a lot harder. Well, he goes against the best of the best in college, against SEC tackles. Every game he plays in at Texas A&M, he's got one of the highest stat numbers in college. So he's got some moves. He can make it happen against really good competition in college. Will it translate over to the NFL? Well, he'll probably get a lot better. Competition will be a little better, but he'll get better as a player, and I think he'll create pressures. Whether that translates to sacks or not, we'll see. Perhaps Cassius Howell would be a good rotational piece opposite Chase Young. Perhaps maybe you want somebody else out there in certain downs. Howell to me is preferably a bottom of the first round pick, but edge rusher is such an important need for the Saints. I'm going to keep him here at number 10. At number 9, everyone's top edge rusher in the draft, that would be Rueben Bain Jr. out of Miami. 6'3", 275 pounds. He's a junior. And like I've said in many other videos, Rueben Bain at 275 pounds seems to be kind of big for the edge rusher spot that we're looking to fill. It's more of an outside linebacker with responsibilities and coverage some of the time. But Bain is a really good talent. And if anybody could, make that transition, I'm sure Bain would be just fine at it. Chase Young is another guy that's hovering around 265, and he's got his best sack production of his career this year in that position. He also missed 5 games, so he'd have even more sacks, I'm sure. With 1 game to go, he can still add on to it. So Chase Young is a bigger outside linebacker presence in this defense. Maybe Rueben Bain could make a splash at that spot. He's so athletic. I'm going to put him here in my top 10. At number 8, I'm looking at safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. I think we're really good at safety. I think if we re-sign Julian Blackmon, we keep Justin Reed and Jonas Sanker as a young stud. Jordan Howden looking good as a backup. And yeah, we don't need to address safety at all. However, if this team wants to improve, part of that's going to be improving on our salary cap situation. Yeah, we're going to be a little above the cap to start the year. And everyone says it's a great position for the Saints because, usually we're 80 million, 60 million over the cap and we have to figure out a way just to have money to spend. Well, we don't have to figure out that much this time, but we're still over the cap. And I have to keep reminding myself. Everyone says it's going to take a couple of moves and that's it. We're going to have plenty of money to play with. Well, you want to be a player in free agency, you're going to have to find a lot of money, even to retain the players that we have. And Alontae Taylor's a guy I'm thinking about. If you want to keep Alontae Taylor, you're probably going to have to spend 17 million a year. So forget that we're only 5, 10 million over the cap. We got to come up with the money to sign players. You might need 15 million to sign a guard. You're going to need 17 to 20 million to keep Alontae Taylor. And then you're going to need 30 to 40 million to re-sign Chris Olave. And if you keep Cam Jordan, that's probably another 10 million right there. And yeah, yeah, we're not going to be such great players in free agency if we don't have the money to spend. And being over the cap is still being over the cap. You're still going to have to make a lot of moves just to free up money. One of the moves we could make is not re-signing Alontae Taylor. Let him go and play with somebody else for 17 million a year. And instead, we draft Caleb Downs and he becomes the star. Now, Taylor's got a lot of experience in the league, and I'm pretty sure if you expect a rookie in Downs to come in here and to take over and to be that effective, you might have to, give him a season or two to get his feet wet in the league. But what Downs has right away, which I'm excited about, is the ability to tackle. He's a very good tackler. And this defense prioritizes tackling. Just look at the first draft class with Brandon Staley as our coordinator, and you see every defensive player we got had a specialty in tackling. Danny Stutzman was never a sack master. He was never great in coverage. Good tackler. Jonas Sanker was a flexible, versatile player who could do it all, but his claim to fame was his ability to tackle. And even Quincy Riley at cornerback had a reputation of a nose for the ball, and he can be solid in tackling as well. I think tackling is something we're going to prioritize. And if Caleb Downs gets drafted by this team and plays the star position, eventually I think it would work out pretty good. We'd be saving a lot of money by not re-signing Alontae Taylor, that's for sure. And, Taylor's hot and cold when it comes to tackling. Caleb Downs may just be an upgrade there. At number 7, I'm going with cornerback Mansoor Delane out of LSU. He's the only cornerback appearing on my top 10. It's one of those things. For a while there, everyone was sold on McKinstry and Taylor and Riley, and people were thinking cornerback, no, you don't really need to worry about that as much. I've always had cornerback as a high priority for the team, definitely in the top 8 main priorities. And like I said in other videos, you could draft a top round cornerback every year of your franchise's existence, and you'll probably never run out of them. So you get Mansoor Delane on this team at cornerback, and then you don't have to worry so much about, our struggles with the young group like McKinstry and Riley. I think Delane would come in with more ability than both of them. And although he would be young and a rookie and he would have to learn and make his way, I truly believe Mansoor Delane would be the number one cornerback on this team. It would be something that some people feel like we don't have. We want McKinstry to be number one, but he's really just a really high level number 2 right now. He's showing me a lot. And Quincy Riley, just to have him on the field starting is wild. And if Riley improves, man, what a steal in that draft. Makes that draft class so much more better than we think it is already. But Riley's still a 4th round pick. So you get Mansoor Delane on this team, and you've got some serious depth. And I think a great improvement in the secondary. All right, number six. This might be a surprise to some people, but my number six guy is wide receiver Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. I like Jordan Tyson, 6'2", 200 pounds, junior. Yeah, I think Tyson would be a great guy to have. Incredible contested catch guy. And yeah, he's got moves, he's got speed, he makes catches all over the field. And yeah, it would be a solid pick for the Saints. That's why he's in my top 10. And would he be available for the Saints is the question. Tyson's the number one rated wide receiver. We pick eighth. I'm thinking somebody's going to draft Tyson before we get a shot at him. But I do like him and I would take him. He would be in that conversation. But there's five guys ahead of Tyson that I have. And these, my top five, they're pretty much tied. And like I said before, if I get to a spot in the draft and these five guys are available, I'm not sure which one I'm taking. And it's going to be surprising to some because Arvell Reese is on that list. If everybody had their first overall choice, a lot of you would probably pick Arvell Reese and be very happy with it. At number five, I'm going with edge rusher David Bailey, Texas Tech, 6'2", 250 pounds. He is a senior, and Bailey, is a sack master and perfect size to play that outside linebacker edge rusher role in Brandon Staley's defense. He's got the size where he's not so much a liability in coverage. I think Bailey would be a slight upgrade. As far as the outside linebackers, edge rushers we have now, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, Chase Young. The best in coverage has been Carl Granderson, actually, all year long, which is wild. But you want your edge rushers to be able to get to the quarterback. That's going to be the main thing we're asking them to do. David Bailey does this very well. And I think as an edge rusher, he fits into our plan better than Bain. That's why I have him ranked higher than Bain. So Bain has all the ability in the world. I just think Bailey's a guy that fits into this system a little better. Somebody that fits in really good as well. Number four, linebacker Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, 6'4", 243 pounds. He's a junior, and everyone considers him an edge rusher because he can get to the quarterback. So, kind of plays linebacker. He could play middle linebacker. He could probably play, on one side or the other. He could probably be a designated linebacker and not rush the off the edge. Could be a middle linebacker. But as an edge rusher, I think he would be a pretty good fit. And yeah, that's the thing with Reese for me is where would he play and would we need him as an edge rusher down in and down out? Would we expect him to play linebacker and take Demario Davis's place? He's versatile enough to be able to do all of that. So Arvell Reese probably number one in everybody's list, but as a defensive player, he's number one on my list. But yeah, if I had a choice between Arvell Reese and David Bailey and a chance to trade down, I'm not so in love with Arvell Reese that I wouldn't take some extra assets and pass on the opportunity to take them. Now, I know you guys who love Arvell Reese are going to tell me I'm crazy. Some of you are going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. I said I would choose either of these top five guys, but I kind of have them ranked equally. So Arvell Reese is here. Number three on my list, wide receiver Makai Lemon out of USC. We don't have a stud playmaker at wide receiver. Chris Olave's looked great the last couple of weeks. He's not going to play in this final game. Yeah, I'm totally stoked. Would love to keep him around. Would love to pay him 25 to 30 million a year. Probably going to end up paying 40 million a year to keep him. And I just don't know if he's that much of a playmaker. His percentages aren't great in contested catches, and you worry about his health. Although Olave's separation is immaculate. Makai Lemon has great separation. He's very tough, 5'11", 195 pounds. I'm not worried about the lack of height because He's great at contested catches. He makes plays all over the field, and he's great with the ball in his hands. And that's an edge I give to Lemon over Olave, is what you do once the ball is in your hands. We don't have a guy like Makai Lemon on this team, and I would be stoked to have him. And yeah, if I had my choice between Makai Lemon and Arvell Reese is way higher on everyone's list above Makai Lemon, but I think I value Makai Lemon for this team that much. To put him here at number 3, to make a case. You trade down from number 8 to number 12, I'd be stoked getting Makai Lemon and passing on anybody else that's in this top 5. But there's 2 more to mention at number 2, wide receiver Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, 6'3", 195 pounds. I wish he would bulk up a little bit. I always say that about Tate. And I've always said Tate's my favorite receiver in the class. Man, Lemon is right there, and Jordan Tyson is fantastic. I only edge out Tate because of the size, the height, 6'3". Tate is a contested catch god, and he makes plays on the sideline. So, so that means all over the field. He's got really good speed for his size. The only issue I have with Tate is he's not an elite separator, and that's okay. Neither is Devon Bailey. I saw how well Tyler Shuck worked with Bailey. I I see him working with Tate the same, and giving slight edge to Tate because of his height, because Olave's 6 foot, so we could use a bigger guy. But like I said, man, take Tate or Reese or Lemon or even Bailey. I'd be stoked. I'd be happy with any of those guys. And I decided to put number 1 on this list, running back Jeremiah Love. Yes, I am finally succumbed to the ideal that a playmaker at running back is something that we could use a lot of. We saw Audric Estime make some plays this past weekend. We've seen Devin Neal make some plays when he was healthy. And we saw Kendre Miller make a bunch of plays when he was healthy. We've seen Alvin Kamara make a decade's worth of plays, but I think time is up for Kamara. If he plays one more year on this team, that's fine, but I'm not going to expect him to be a playmaker at the running back position. Kendre Miller, I'm not going to expect him to be healthy to be a playmaker. And Devin Neal and Audric Estime are later round draft picks, and I feel like those are good, solid players to have. But I can't expect them to make plays from the running back position, game in and game out. Jeremiah Love is a beast. I think of what Bijan Robinson did with Atlanta against the Rams this past week, and I start thinking to myself, yeah, we don't have that. We don't have that guy at running back that everyone's got to worry about. A guy that even if it ain't all blocked up, he's still going to make a play. Jeremiah Love would be that guy, and probably the number 1 guy I would want to take above all these other players. So, yeah, if I had the first overall pick, I wouldn't take Jeremiah Love, but I wouldn't take Arvell Reese either. I'd be trying to trade down so bad. If I had a top 5 pick, I'd be trading down. I'd be passing up on a lot of these players just to acquire extra assets because the team needs so much, and we can dip into many positional groups and improve this team. But if I have to give you a list and I have to give you a top 10, I'm putting Jeremiah Love at running back number 1. Notre Dame stud, 6 foot, 214 pounds. And yeah, I see what Ashton Genty's doing with the Raiders this year. A dynamic running back on a bad team. It's not all coming together for him in that situation. Would it come together for Love on a team like the Saints? We're all feeling pretty good about the Saints right now. So there you go, guys. That's my top 10 first round prospects for our beloved New Orleans Saints. And I would be happy taking any of those guys. I would also be happy trading down and acquiring extra picks because the team needs a lot of help at a lot of positions. And I think high round draft picks should be able to come in here, make the team, and make a difference. That's how bad the team is. And this draft's just okay. There's no one stud that I really need to have. But if I had to pick one above all, I guess I'm going with Jeremiah Love. And at pick 8 or pick 10 in this year's draft, that would be a solid get, as would any of these other guys on the list. You let me know what you think. Give me your list of top 10 favorite players in the first round, players you would take above all else. Tell me I'm crazy that Arvell Reese isn't number one, but subscribe. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?